Okay, it's time for the last of my Star Wars reviews. Yeah, I've enjoyed doing these, but I'm looking forward to doing a few, like specific topics. Like I said on a previous episode, I want to do one about like the religion of the Jedi and a personal theory I have about that some may view as controversial. And then I have a few other ideas. I want to do like one. I want to do like an edit or two edits. Now, one edit and one like kind of like a cinematic edit. That's not really an edit. I'm sorry. I'm so retarded the way I talk, but I want to do one edit of like Obi-Wan saying Anakin was a good friend in A New Hope. And then I want to do like a semi edit, we'll call it, but it'll be like 2 or 3 minutes about the Sith, which I think is going to be really cool, even though I'm not really skilled at this, but I think I can do a pretty good job. And then I have like some other ideas that are a bit more complicated. I don't know if I'm going to get it done, but I want to do like a political video on Palpatine during the Clone Wars and probably the Empire as well. Let me actually write these down so I don't forget. So we'll do Sith edit, good friend edit, Jedi theology, and Palpatine politics. So you have that to look forward to on my channel. That's 4 videos planned I have. And I was talking like Yoda, planned I have. And hopefully I get those done. But today we have, or tonight, we have Star Wars Episode 6, Return of the Jedi. A very special film that is in my top 50. I'll show you where that is. As I've mentioned before, episodes 3, 5, and 6 are like, they're like my favorites for different reasons. And obviously when I rate stuff, I combine quality and personal love. So episode 6 is high up here, 37. 41 right here is episode 3. But episode 6 has the distinction of having probably my favorite moment in cinema ever, which is the sort of whole sequence of the throne room scene, the redemption of Darth Vader / the death of Darth Vader, and the redemption of Anakin Skywalker, and then like the final scene where Anakin appears as a Force ghost. That whole like sequence is like my favorite individual part of any movie, I think. I believe this is the case. And I love everything about it, but I don't want to get into that too quick when we're going to get into it later in the video. This film is definitely, in terms of direction, a step down from Empire Strikes Back, but it's still very well made. You can tell it's like slightly lower budget though. It's made by this guy who, much like Irvin Kershner, is like not really known for much else. I was just looking through his filmography. But Mark Hamill's Luke Skywalker really is my favorite in this film. He sort of takes his most mature form, and he's kind of the most serious, and he also, it just becomes like a true hero, in my opinion, in this film. So I really compliment this film on finishing Luke's story really awesomely. Han and Leia continue their romance, but it definitely falls short of the highs of episode 5. Lando Calrissian, played by Billy Dee, gets a little redemption arc at the end and destroys the Death Star. We'll get into that. and everyone else is good, but mainly the highlight would be we get to see the Emperor for the first time properly, and he's really perfect. And then you got supporting roles like Yoda, who gets an awesome end, Ben Kenobi, etc. Let's get into the synopsis. See, wait, hold on. This is like exactly what I say. Huh. Maybe I have a long lost twin that wrote this. This is like exactly my opinion. Right here. Yes, this is everything I believe. Oh my god. Exactly. I tear up as well. Oh my gosh. This man is a genius. There you go, sir. Whoever that is. I'm very happy with you. Alright, so we start on like starting with Han Solo's like story and fate, which is on Tatooine. But before that, we kind of learn that the Death Star is being built, the Death Star 2. And Darth Vader sort of awesomely arrives and he's like, the Emperor's coming here and he will not be as forgiving as me or as I. And it's a very good setup for, you know, the daddy of the Sith, the big bad man, the pure evil man who only cares about power and himself. And yeah, so he's coming over. You know, best clean up the kitchen and you know, be a good host. So there's these whole like sequence of scenes where like people are arriving at Jabba's palace. First C-3PO, R2-D2, then this like random bounty hunter that turns out to be Leia, but then she's captured, and then Luke gets there and he's also captured. And there's like one scene that I absolutely hate in the Tatooine scenes, and believe it or not, I actually skip this scene when I watch it with other people, my family, my mom and dad, because it's so embarrassing. I really hate it. It's the scene with the singing, like that George Lucas like made even worse with the CGI. It's just so ugly and the singing is so annoying. I just skip it. But other than that, I do like the scenes on Tatooine. Although when Luke escapes, the choreography, the fight choreography is not very good at all. But you know, it's more about the moment, I guess. And yeah, they escape from the Sarlacc pit. And yeah, so then the film like kind of really gets started. The others rendezvous with the Rebel Alliance as Luke returns to Dagobah, and I really like this scene. And I there's been times where it's actually like gotten a bit of emotion out of me, like the death of Yoda, which I think is pretty cool. But I think it's so special, like him telling him about his father and saying there is another Skywalker and all this stuff. And then the last meeting with Obi-Wan Kenobi, and Obi-Wan says the line, like, from a certain point of view, what I said was true, which kind of echoes Anakin's bullshittery at the end of the third movie. And the most significant thing is, like, Obi-Wan believes that, like, Anakin is dead and he's more machine than man, but Luke is like, no, there's still good in him. I can help him. I can turn him. I can bring him back to the good side. And yeah. So then we get the whole setup with the energy shield and like the second Death Star, how to destroy it, and all this stuff. But Oh yeah, I'm sorry. I missed the point that Luke is told by Obi-Wan that Leia is his twin. Very important, and he kind of deduces it himself. And so yeah, they all meet, and Leia's like, "What is it? You look different." And then Luke is like, "Ask me some other time." Lando will lead the assault on the Death Star, piloting the Millennium Falcon. This scene is kind of like cringe, the dialogue. When Han gives over the Millennium Falcon, he's like, "I've got your word, not a scratch." And then Lando's like, "Will you just get going, you crazy pirate," or something. And the acting is pretty cheesy, but it's Star Wars, so we give it a pass. So hold on. All right, so the strike team, Luke, Leia, and Chewbacca, and Han will go down with C-3PO, and R2-D2 will go down to Endor's moon using an old Imperial transport ship, and they'll try to get past the blockade. They basically get on, but Vader is on the ship, and he basically senses Luke is there, but he lets him land. Sort of building up this implied hesitance of Vader to kill his son that started in the 5th movie. And that only builds as the movie goes on. And yeah, they're captured by Ewoks. They're very cute, these Ewoks. They're kind of like, they remind me of dogs or something. They're very, very cute. Or, they kind of remind me of, like, I guess, a mix between penguins and bears or something. Like, they have the innocence of a penguin, but the kind of look of a baby bear. That's a good way of describing it. And yeah, so at this point, things go on. It's a good scene with the Ewoks, but Luke has a moment alone with his sister, and he reveals that Vader is his father, and Luke and Leia are sisters, and he says like he must face his father, and that him being with them endangers their mission because Vader can sense him. And basically, Leia's very emotional about this, and Han walks in, and Han thinks that Leia loves Luke now, and like she's pulling away from him, but in reality, she's just kind of like shocked and needs some time, but that's left unfinished for now. She doesn't tell him about Luke yet. And Luke surrenders to Vader, and like this is like the part after this scene where I would say it's like my favorite moments in cinema start to take place. I really love this scene where Luke confronts Vader, and he's like he calls him Anakin Skywalker, and then Vader's like, "That name no longer has any meaning to me." And then Luke is like, "It is the name of your true self. You have only forgotten." And there's a bunch of other fantastic lines and moments, like Vader examining. Oh God, that sounds wrong. I can't say it. Vader examining his son's lightsaber. That sounds so bad. Forget that. But Vader opens the lightsaber, and he's like, "Your skills are now complete." And Luke tells his father like, "There's still good in you. I felt it. You can't do this. Like, you can't fight me. You can't turn me over. You can't kill me." And he says, "I know there's good in you. I felt it. Let's just go together and forget the Emperor." And one of my favorite lines is like, Obi-Wan once thought as you do, meaning that like Obi-Wan once saw the good in Anakin, which is very beautiful. And also, of course, another one of my favorite lines where Vader very sadly says, like, it's too late for me, son. Like, when Luke is trying to bring him to the light side, like, it's so tragic. Like, Vader is a man that um, has done so many bad things, and, like, in his mind, there's no coming back, so he just has to keep doing what he's doing because ever since he really cut off Mace Windu's hand, like, he can't ever stop because it's too late. You know, nobody will ever give him a chance, or he can't ever come back to the light. He's irredeemable, I guess. And yeah, so he takes him to the Emperor. And you get all these amazing lines where, like, in time you will learn to call me Master. And then Palpatine reveals the battle station is operational. You get this awesome scene where the music's like dun 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 dun. You know, the Mon Calamari cruiser blows up, and then the Star Destroyers come and block the hyper lane so they can't escape. It's a very, very cool scene. And you go back and forth between Endor and the throne room scene, but then the what happens on Endor is really not on the same league as what happens on the Death Star. Like, what happens on the Death Star is like a Shakespearean level redemption, beautiful arc. But what happens on Endor is like good, but it's just not up there. And the duel starts, and like the choreography is just so much better than what happened on Tatooine or what happened any point during this series. It's really a very, very nice lightsaber duel, both in terms of the emotional value and in terms of the choreography as an action scene. And you know, the Emperor's goading Luke to use his anger, kill his father, and you know, this goes on, and you get one of my favorite scenes. Well, I don't know what individual scene is my favorite in this movie, but one of my favorites is when Vader senses that he's thinking about Leia, and then the music shifts to one of the most beautiful songs I've ever heard. And there's this sideways panning shot, I think it's called. I'm not an expert on what it's called, but it's like a scrolling shot to the left as they fight with their lightsabers, and Luke overpowers his father, cuts off his hand, sees it is a machine just like him, you know, subtly saying that, like, there is a common shared experience between them, and they're not so different. And the Emperor says, like, kill your father and take your place at my side, fully revealing the mindset of the Sith. Like, no loyalty. It doesn't matter that Palpatine and Anakin have, or Palpatine and Vader have been like master and apprentice, and supposedly, like, well, if they weren't Sith, you would say yes, they are friends, but obviously Sith don't have friends. But they've been like people that have worked together for years. They should have loyalty to one another, but these are Sith. So in a second, like, Palpatine's just like, kill your father, take your place at my side, saying that you're younger, you're more powerful, you should be my apprentice. So Luke is like, no, I'm a Jedi, like my father before me. Amazing scene, throws down his lightsaber in an act of moral courage. And then the Emperor starts the electrocution of Luke, torturing him with Force lightning. And sorry, 1 second here. Well, the shield generator. Oh, sorry. I'm sorry, guys. My mistake. So yeah, as the Emperor's torturing Luke, Vader, much like he did with Mace Windu being electrocuted by Palpatine, makes a choice as the chosen one that will affect, probably like hundreds of trillions of people, however many people live in the Star Wars galaxy. He sees the Emperor's lightning flashing before his eyes as his son dies, and he says, like, no, and picks up the Emperor, throwing him to his death, both killing the Emperor and killing himself, thereby destroying the Sith and ending the rule of two, and fulfilling the prophecy of the Chosen One. Darth Vader, the Antichrist, fulfilled the prophecy and redeems himself as Anakin Skywalker, has a beautiful moment with his son, which always gets me. And yeah, so I love the line where he's like, I must save you, you already have, but also my favorite is, like, take this mask off so I can look on you with my own eyes. I love it. I think it's so beautiful. Like I said in my episode 3 review, Darth Vader is a man who is entombed in a coffin, and in that moment where he says, like, take my mask off so I can look on you with my own eyes, he's like shedding the coffin that has entombed him, but also it's like acknowledging that he is not a machine, he's a man, and he wants to see his son with his own eyes. And then, of course, he dies, and you get a fantastic scene, largely added to by the special edition, where you see the galaxy rising up against the Empire, but then you get the burning of Darth Vader, the funeral, and and one of my favorite moments in cinema again, the last scene with the music and the Ewoks and everyone together, but then Luke looks across, sees Yoda and Obi-Wan, and then Anakin appears. And that is the scene that gets the biggest tear from my eye. I think it's so sad, and so, well, I mean sad by happy sad. Like the type of sadness where it's a relief. And it's so special that Anakin was redeemed and good triumphed over evil. It's gotta be one of my favorite things ever in cinema. I'm a huge fan of it. And yeah, I should also say that Han obviously found out about Luke, and we can all rest easy knowing this is the actual end to Star Wars, and nothing came after it to sully its reputation. Indeed. Okay, so that's been my review of a truly special movie. Thank you for watching. Saucy Boy, out.